The Greater Idaho movement continues within the walls of the Oregon State Capitol, with two pieces of legislation bouncing around again this session that would create a task force to talk about it. Idaho last flirted with the idea back in 2023 when GEM state lawmakers passed a resolution inviting the two states to talk about it. But should this go beyond backroom chats, it would be the first time, or wouldn't be, I should say, it would not be the first time Idaho's borders were considered in Congress, which is what has to happen in order to change a state's boundaries. With today being Idaho Day, March 4th, the day Idaho became an official territory of the United States, we thought we would take it back to the beginning. So here we have how it became Idaho. Before March 4, what we know as Idaho was split between the territories of Oregon and Washington. Then in February 1859, the Beaver State was born, with Oregon becoming the 33rd state to unite, which left the Washington Territory to kind of work around Oregon. From Utah in the south, blocked by the Bitterroots in the east, and then a left turn toward the Pacific. A year later, gold was discovered, first in Pierce in the Clearwater Range, then in the Boise Basin in 1862. Suddenly, the people in the east outnumbered those in Washington's west, and the need for a new territory sparked Congress to get creative. One idea was to keep Idaho's panhandle with Washington and combine the southern section with Wyoming to create Idaho. However, that would mean moving Washington's capital out of Olympia, to be more centralized. Well, not wanting any of that, Washington decided to ditch everything east of Lewiston. And on the last night of the 1863 session, on March 3rd, Congress carved out the Idaho Territory, which was apparently going to be called Montana until it wasn't. The next day, President Abraham Lincoln signed off on the deal, which is how March 4th became Idaho Day, honoring a stretch of land from Oregon's eastern edge north all the way to Nebraska in the east. A territory that once topped Texas in total size. Well, 6 days later, President Lincoln appointed William Wallace, Idaho's first territorial governor, who arrived in Lewiston that July. He decided to convene the capital in Lewiston because, well, he could get there up the Columbia River and was closest to his home in western Washington. However, since Idaho was created on the last day of the congressional session, they apparently neglected to appropriate some money to establish the territorial government. Well, that wasn't Wallace's only obstacle. Those obstacles would be the three mountain ranges dividing the territory, making it difficult to govern and even get around in such a large and isolated territory. Didn't matter, though. During that first meeting of the territorial legislature in Lewiston that fall, Wallace was selected as a delegate to Congress, and then he went back to D.C., leaving Idaho in the hands of the territorial secretary, that'd be William B. Daniels, who wasn't considered a good fit for the job for, quote, want of a sufficiently strong and cultivated intellect, end quote. The next year, Montana Territory was created. Then in 1868, Wyoming was created, thus creating the Idaho state borders we have today.